Medicare tends to sneak up on us as we get older, and we're all going to be there at some point. So are you turning 65 soon? Or maybe you're already past 65, but you're still working and you're getting ready to retire. I'm going to go through right now the enrollment process for Medicare, everything that you need to know regardless of which situation you're in. It's going to be a longer video, so buckle up. We'll go slow. We'll make sure we understand each part of it so we don't have any penalties when the time comes. So stay tuned. And I'm Keith Armbrecht. I'm founder of Medicare on Video. I help people across the country make the right Medicare choices. I can absolutely help you as well. Right now, we're going to talk about Medicare enrollment, and certainly very important. And of course, they make it as complicated as they possibly could. So we need to get ahead of it and make sure that we do the things that we need to do. So let's start off with the basics. So question number one, what is Medicare? And we've heard about it certainly most of our lives, but people confuse it with Medicaid. It is certainly not Medicaid. Medicaid is for low income scenarios. Medicare is pretty much for everybody unless you're a federal employee and you may have lifetime retiree benefits when you finish your employment. Just about everybody else is pretty much going to come into Medicare. And Medicare basically is federal health insurance, and it's primarily for age 65 plus, although there are scenarios with disability that you may be eligible before age 65, but we're going to focus on age 65 and over, whether you're coming in at 65 or whether you're going to come in at retirement age, whatever age that may be. And Medicare is broken down into parts, and this is where it starts to get confusing, where it really doesn't need to be, because it's really not complicated, and we really don't even need to understand all these parts, but it's good to have an idea of how Medicare works. So with Medicare, you have Part A, which is for inpatient hospital care, Part B, which is pretty much all other medical expenses, doctor's visits, specialists, outpatient surgery, everything like that falls under Medicare Part B. Then they throw in Medicare Part C, which is Medicare Advantage. And Medicare Advantage really isn't Medicare, so I'm not sure how they came up with putting it in as Part C, like it's similar to A and B, because it certainly is not. If you go on Medicare Advantage, it actually takes you off of Medicare Part A and Part B. I have all sorts of videos explaining Medicare Advantage, disadvantages, the benefits that might be there, so make sure you take a look for some of those. And then the other part is Medicare Part D, which is drug coverage. So that one almost makes sense. Part D stands for drug coverage. And then finally, we have Medigap or Medicare Supplement. I'm not sure why they didn't make that Part E, but they did not. So Medigap or a Medicare Supplement plan would go along if you stay on original Medicare A and B. And it's going to cover a lot of the stuff that A and B do not. So it makes a whole lot of sense to do that. So some questions that I hear pretty regularly. Number one, is Medicare free at age 65? And the answer is no, it's not. You need to be prepared because there will be costs involved with your Medicare. Most people get Part A for free as long as you've been working and you've worked for 40 quarters, and your Part A would be free. Part B does have a monthly premium, so you need to be prepared for that. Right now, it's a little bit over $200 a month. It does tend to go up every year, sometimes a little, sometimes more than a little, but something that we're all going to have. And that Part B premium can actually get much bigger based on income. So it is income adjusted. If you make over certain levels of income, your Part B premium could go all the way from just over $200 to well over $600 a month. So you want to be well ahead of that if you're going to continue to have income when you come into Medicare. Again, I have videos on that as well. It's called IRMAA, IRMAA, Income Related Monthly Adjustment or Amount. In other words, the more you make, the more you pay. Some find it fair. A whole lot of people don't find it fair, but it is what it is, so we need to be prepared for it. Question number two, do I automatically get Medicare? And sometimes yes. If you're already drawing Social Security before you turn 65, they're going to assume that you're not working and you're going to need Medicare and you're going to go on Medicare. So they're going to automatically put you into Part A and Part B. But we want to make absolutely sure. So even if you are drawing Social Security, make sure you get your red, white, and blue Medicare card, and it will show a start date for Part A. It'll also show a start date for Part B. Very important to make sure that they start when we want them to start. So next section is, when can you enroll into Medicare? And that's pretty basic sounding, but there's a number of different enrollment periods that again, they make it complicated, so it throws us for a loop, so we want to make sure we get it exactly right. The initial enrollment period, IEP, is the one that most people do because that is when you are turning age 65. So the majority of people still do come in at age 65, even though a lot of us work well past age 65. Some of us because we want to, some of us because we have to. But either way, if you're going to be coming in at age 65, you're going to be in the initial enrollment period. And this is a window of time that's 7 months long, although it doesn't need to be 7 months long, but it's wrapped around the month that you turn age 65. So it's 3 months before the month that you turn 65, the month that you turn 65, 3 months after. But when you're going to sign up for Medicare, you're going to be doing it in the 3 months before you turn age 65. So you get everything in place. It's going to start when you want it to start. And something that really confuses people is it's going to start on the first of the month that you turn age 65. So even if you're born on June 30th, Medicare is going to start on June 1st. So you need to certainly understand that and get it done well ahead of time of June 1st. And then they throw another caveat in there. If you're actually born on the 1st, so if you're born on June 1st, it's going to start on May 1st. So it'll start the month previous if you're actually born on the 1st. So again, we just want to do it early. There's no reason to wait. Let's get it out of the way. And again, we walk you through all this at Medicare on Video. Just visit my website. You can fill out the form. We will send you a quote for your Medicare supplement plan so you can see exactly how much it costs. We won't sell you into something that you don't want to have. We just make sure that we get all your pieces in the right places, or you can give us a call and we will walk right through it. So some questions that I get here are, what happens if I enroll late? It can be a problem, and you can face penalties that last forever. So if you don't enroll in Medicare Part B when you're supposed to, it can have a 10% per year penalty. So if you missed it by 2 years, you didn't do what you're supposed to do, and 2 years later you sign up for Medicare Part B, it's going to add 10% to that $200 a month premium forever. So you would be paying 10% per year, so it would add 20% if you waited 2 years. That's an extra $40 a month. We certainly don't want that, so we want to make sure we get it done when we're supposed to do it. And when should I apply if I'm turning 65 in July 2026? As early as possible, up to 3 months ahead of time. You could do it earlier than that if you wanted to, but really no reason to. But certainly April or May at the latest, just to get it in for July 1st. And that way, when July 1st comes around, you already have your Medicare card, everything's already in place, everything's done. You don't have anything to worry about. And that's exactly what we want to try and do, is not worry about this stuff when it comes time. Because again, this is something we all need, something we all are going to face, and just make sure we put it to bed as early as we can. So it works out, certainly much better when we take the stress away from it. Can I delay Medicare if I'm still working? Yes, absolutely. And there's caveats here as well. If you are still working, for whatever reason, they added some conditions to this. Your employer must have 20 or more employees for you to delay your Medicare without penalty. If your employer has 19 or fewer, then you need to drop your work coverage and come into Medicare. And where I have a problem with this is, how in the world are you supposed to know if your employer is on that bubble 15 to 25, how many employees they actually have? But those are the rules that generate this. And if you're going to stay on your work coverage, it has to be what's called creditable coverage. In other words, real employer health insurance. Things that do not qualify are COBRA coverage or even retiree coverage. So those would not exclude you from penalty if you stayed on COBRA or retiree coverage and then came into Medicare years later to Medicare Part B, you would face that penalty. So if you're in that situation, we need to talk about it. So just make sure that you bring that up when we do talk. Does COBRA count as credible coverage? As I said, COBRA does not count. A lot of people think it would. And sometimes you might retire and your employer might offer to pay for 6 months of COBRA, maybe even a year of COBRA. But it's going to cause a problem with Medicare. So we certainly don't want that. We just need to understand it coming in. The next enrollment period would be a general enrollment period, and it runs from January 1 to March 31st each year. The general enrollment period is for the people that messed up their initial enrollment period, that didn't do it on time. If you miss that 7-month window, you can't just come in the 8th month. You have to then go to the general enrollment period between January 1, March 31st, and it'll become effective the first of the following month. Again, we want to stay away from that if at all possible. Now, the one for folks that are going to stay at work after age 65 is called the special enrollment period. So we have all these terrific names for these enrollment periods. The special enrollment period is the one for the folks that stay at work on credible coverage with an employer that has 20 or more employees, and you may continue till you're 68, 78, maybe later than that. And then when you come into Medicare, it's like you're turning 65. So one thing you don't want to do if you're going to stay at work on your employer health plan, do not start Medicare Part B. Medicare Part B, number one, has a premium. You would be paying for something that you're not going to use. Don't want to do that. But bigger than that, it's the trigger when you come in later. And what that means is that's what makes it just like you're turning 65. So you can then choose whatever Medicare supplement plan you want. You can go any direction you want without any questions or approvals. So if you're going to stay at work on your work plan, do not start your Medicare Part B. So pretty simple. Let's talk about the Medicare penalties. People get crazy sometimes with penalties, can cause a lot of stress. So we want to make sure we don't run into that. That Part B penalty that I referenced a little earlier is 10% increase for every 12 months delayed. And it's usually for life. So it can be pretty big if you come in late and you come in wrong and you're going to stay on it then for years down the road. It can be a problem. So it certainly can be a permanent penalty and can make a pretty big difference in how much your Medicare Part B is going to cost. Now, questions that I get here, do I need Part D if I don't take medication? So Medicare Part D is for drug plans. And yes and no. Medicare Part D also has a penalty if you don't take it right when you come in and then you take it later. So Medicare Part D can have a 1% per month penalty, 12% per year if you don't take it right when you come in, but then let's say you take it 2 or 3 years down the road. So if you took it 3 years down the road, it's going to add 36% onto the premium of the Part D. Now, the Part D premium is a lot less than like Medicare Part B, so it's not as big of a dollar amount, but there are Medicare drug plans that are zero premium. So make sure if you don't take any drugs, you don't really have to be too concerned with which plan you're going to take. Certainly grab a zero premium plan, and that way it will keep you from having a penalty if something changes in the future. And with Medicare Part D, the drug plans, you can change it at the end of any year. So if your medications change or your health changes, you can then get a new drug plan that more fits what you're currently taking. So it makes a lot of sense to just set it up, and then if we need to change it later, we'll just change it later. Next one, Medicare Advantage versus Medigap Medicare Supplement Enrollment. And this is the big question when you come into Medicare. Do you stay with original Medicare, A and B, have a Medicare supplement plan that's going to cover the big things that A and B do not, or do you go into a Medicare Advantage plan? It's a very personal decision. I certainly personally would never choose Medicare Advantage. If you go into Medicare Advantage, it takes you off of Medicare, puts you into a private insurance carrier's insurance plan, kind of an HMO type environment where you have networks of primary care doctors, networks of specialists, networks of hospitals. You have to get a referral to go from one to the other. You have to get pre-authorization. It just puts a major loss of control in your healthcare as you're getting older, and certainly not something I would want. Original Medicare with a supplement, there isn't any of that. You can go to any doctor, any hospital, anywhere in the country that accepts Medicare without having to ask for permission. You also generally don't need pre-authorizations. If your doctor says you need something and you agree and it's medically necessary, then it's covered. You don't have to ask the insurance company permission. Will you please pay for this because something my doctor says I really need? And then God forbid they say, no, we won't. And then you have to do other things. So the difference in costs, the question I get all the time, is Medicare Advantage cheaper? And it depends on how you look at it. One of them is kind of pay as you go, and one of them is kind of prepaid. So Medicare Advantage can be a little cheaper coming in. Some of them even have zero premium, but it will cost you more when you use it, and sometimes significantly more. Medicare Supplement will have a premium ahead of time, usually $100 a month or less. That's where we try to keep it, and depends on which plan we're looking to get into. But when you use it, your out-of-pocket expense is super small. And again, things just go very well. You don't have the stress of trying to get something approved that you know you need and that your doctor wants you to have, but then you have to go beg an insurance company to make it happen. Just kind of crazy. And then lastly is Medicare Part D, the drug plans. Again, they can run anywhere from $0 a month to $30, $40, $50 a month. They can have bigger deductibles. Depends on the medications that you take. So the nice thing about drug plans is there's a drug plan finder. You put in your medications and it will tell you the best overall cost plan for you to have. So it makes a lot of sense to do that. So it's very easy to work with, which is great. So now we have common Medicare enrollment mistakes. Number one mistake, missing enrollment deadlines. We don't want to do that. It just leads to penalties, confusion, difficulty. So we do not want to miss our enrollment deadline. Number two, assuming you're automatically enrolled. Some people are, but do not assume that because it may not happen. You want to make sure you get your card with your A and B date. Number three, not reviewing your drug coverage. Again, we need to do this every year. If your situation changes, either health-wise or medicine-wise, we likely are going to need to change our drug plan to get a better fit on one that covers the stuff that we need to cover. Mistake number four, big one, choosing based only on premium. This is not a scenario where we want to go with the cheapest option. We don't want a coupon on our healthcare. We want to make sure we get the best value. And that's what we do is we take it to where we get the best value, not the lowest cost, not the highest cost, but what makes the most sense from a value standpoint in our situation. So that gives you a pretty good idea on how Medicare enrollment works. And obviously, we're here to help with all of it. Visit MedicareOnVideo.com. I'm personally involved in everything. I've been doing this a very long time. I'm happy to make sure that you come and be one of our thousands of super happy clients who never call me with any problems because we get it right from the start. And that's where you want to be in a situation like this. I hope you found this helpful. Have a fantastic day.